Okay, just got done watching episode 5. Before I get into that, I'm going to quickly just mention how American Horror Story has just been renewed for a 3rd season. I literally learned this like 2 minutes ago. I just hit refresh on my page and the news came up and I was like ecstatic. I mean, Jessica Lange has already confirmed she's coming back as well. So, you know, it's just awesome to know that we've got another year of American Horror Story to look forward to. I really can't wait. I mean, we're still in Asylum, but you know, I'm excited to see what they're going to do for next season. But you know, it's great to hear that they are making a 3rd season. So I was getting a bit worried that they weren't going to do another one, but they finally announced this. So now I can kind of like rest, you know, and kind of relax for a little while. So let's actually talk about episode 5 now. That was a damn good episode. Of course, the main thing everyone is talking about when it comes to this episode is the Bloodyface reveal. Bloodyface's identity is revealed in the episode, and I'll get into the reveal a bit later. I'll get into it towards the end of the review. Like, that's really the only thing I have to talk about really is the Bloodyface reveal. I have quite a bit to say about that. I'll talk about it a bit later though. But I don't really have much to say about the episode. Like, for the most part, the Bloodyface reveal kind of overshadows the whole entire episode. So you kind of almost forget about everything else that happened in the episode because the Bloodyface reveal is like such a big thing in this episode. Like, I'm going to get into it later, like I said. But first, let's get the more minor things out of the way first. So, like I said, there's not really much stuff I really have to talk about in this episode aside from the Bloodyface reveal. Like, what can we talk about here? The Anne Frank storyline is resolved in the episode. It kind of ends here. I don't think we're ever going to be seeing any more from the Anne Frank storyline. But the way it ended, it felt kind of lackluster to me. It was kind of anticlimactic. I kind of expected a bit more from the Anne Frank storyline. So it kind of just ends in this episode. And the way it ends, it just didn't... Like, it didn't really have an impact or anything, and to be honest with you, I was kind of left a bit confused. I'll specify what I was confused by in the spoiler section of the review, but just put it this way, I'm just going to say, I was unimpressed with how they resolved the Anne Frank storyline. I expected a bit more from it, and overall it just left me kind of confused. I'm not quite sure what the hell happened there, and so I'll get into that later. Let's see, acting is fantastic in this episode, like, more noticeably so than usual, and the Bloodyface reveal is where the acting is what I'm talking about. Like, the acting really shines in the Bloodyface reveal. Of course, it's a huge spoiler, so I can't really go into specifics. I'll go into specifics later, but basically the acting's really good in this episode, especially during the Bloodyface reveal. Let's see, what else is there? See, I really don't have much to talk about here. Let's see, the pace. Let's briefly mention the pace. So, the 3rd episode by far is the fastest paced episode in the whole entire show. The 4th episode is by far the slowest paced episode in season 2. However, despite being the most slowest paced episode in season 2, I felt as if it was the best episode of season 2, on par with episode 3. So, this episode 5, it is slow paced. Like, the pace is as fast/slow as the 4th episode. So if you enjoyed the direction they're going in with the 4th episode, with, you know, the pacing, you will enjoy this episode because the pacing is the same, and I really liked the pacing in episode 4 as well. Like, it was good. Like, as opposed to episode 3, where scenes didn't last more than like 60 seconds. Now they are going like regular TV scenes, you know, for like 4 minutes straight and whatnot. And, you know, it's fine. It works really well. There's a lot of stuff which happens in this episode, and like big things happen to the main characters in this episode, let's say, like really big things. Like, the story is like moved like a mile because of what happens to so many of the main characters, and well, it felt like a series finale, to be honest. So, like, there's 13 episodes in this season that try and, you know, get my point across. Of course, in a TV show, for the finale of a series, obviously they would want to put like all this crazy shit happening and huge story events towards the end. that makes sense. So, but this did feel like the finale. This felt like episode 12. So, like, you know, the second to last episode of a TV show would end on a huge cliffhanger with all of the characters kind of having these really big problems to deal with, I suppose, and then, you know, the actual last episode resolves everything. This is what it felt like. This felt like episode 12, the second to last episode, because so many characters get screwed over in this episode. Like, so many characters are getting screwed over. And it just felt like the second to last episode. It felt like the series finale. But we aren't even halfway through the series yet. Okay, so it was really entertaining, let's say, because of all these huge events in the story happening. Let's say that. So they are moving this. They are still moving the show along at a pretty fast pace in that respect. Like the episode itself was slow paced, a lot more controlled because, you know, the scenes are lasting longer. They are actually like 3 or 4 minutes long each, like a normal TV show, as opposed to the third episode, which was like on crack. It was moving so fast. But it's moving a lot slow paced. However, they are progressing the story very quickly at the same time. I really don't have much else to say. The cinematography was great in this episode. There's several shots which will, you know, which are kind of like stuck in my head. Like the shot of Dr. Arden opening the cell door and his shadow is kind of casted onto the wall and he's holding the cane. That was like a really awesome shot. I really like that. I'm pretty sure that I've seen that shot somewhere before in a movie. I'm pretty sure that's like a direct homage to whatever shot that's reminded me of. I wouldn't be surprised. That shot just really reminds me of something. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's kind of like on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite remember the movie. But that was a great shot. And this episode has a lot of great shots. Like the bloody face reveal especially. The directing is like really awesome doing that scene. And okay, I'm just gonna now the remainder of this review will be about the bloody face reveal. I'm not gonna spoil anything yet, so don't panic if you don't know who bloody face is yet and you don't want it spoiled. So the bloody face reveal, what did I think about it? I thought it was awesome. I felt as if it was far superior to the Rubberman reveal in series 1, and whether or not it's predictable or not, in my opinion it is. It's really predictable. But that's not to say it's bad or anything. Like, how can I go through this without giving spoilers now? So, I felt as if the reveal was predictable, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, most people did figure this out. Like, this was like, what people suspected to happen does happen in this episode. So, it is a predictable reveal, but it's not a bad thing. It's something most people figured out. It will come as a surprise to some people, but not a lot of people. I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people, but it will come as a surprise to some people. But the thing is, even if you did guess this, it's still like really enjoyable. Like the reveal is done so well. So even if you didn't figure out who Bloodyface is yet, obviously the reveal will come to you as a shock. So there you go, you get the shock. But as for the people who figured out who Bloodyface is, when it comes to the scene where Bloodyface reveals themselves, the scene is like on the edge of your seat, suspense. Like, it's really suspenseful. Like, the way they reveal Bloodyface when compared to Rubberman is a lot different as well. Because, well, I'll describe what I mean now. So, in episode 8, they revealed Rubberman by having the person in the rubber suit standing in front of a mirror. So they are like suited up in the suit, and then they like take off the mask, they pull it off, and then we see their face. Thus we now learn who Rubberman is. That's how they did the reveal. So Rubberman takes off his mask, we see the person's face. That's how they did it. But in this case it's kind of like a reverse reveal in that sense, because as opposed to having Bloodyface standing there with the mask, and then he takes it off and we see the person's face behind it, as opposed to doing it like that where Bloodyface is unmasking himself or someone else is unmasking him, Bloodyface is there, not in his suit or anything. Like, the person who is Bloodyface is there, and the scene kind of progresses and the clues are becoming more and more apparent throughout the scene. Like, it starts off kind of subtle, but the clues do get intentionally like more obvious and more in your face as the scene progresses. So if you didn't figure out this is Bloodyface yet, as the scene progresses you slowly begin to realize this is Bloodyface. So like, you know, you got a sense of dread and suspense building, and then the scene actually ends with Bloodyface putting the mask on. So as opposed to how they did the Rubberman reveal, where Rubberman was in the suit and he took off the mask, thus revealing to us, the audience, who Rubberman was. They do it in an opposite way with Bloodyface, where it's just him, the character who is Bloodyface. And as the scene progresses, there's more and more obvious clues that he is Bloodyface. Then it ends with Bloodyface putting on the mask. And I thought that was really done well. Like, it's a really suspenseful scene. Like I said, even if you figured out who Bloodyface is, you will still have a lot of fun with the scene, because like, even like I can't, like, of course, spoilers, so I can't get into it too much, but it's just really suspenseful. Let's just put it that way, because you realise the character's about to reveal themselves as Bloodyface, so you're just waiting for the character to like go you know, finally reveal themselves. It's really well done, just trust me, you gotta watch it. The reveal is really well done, and it was actually genuinely creepy. In my opinion, it was the creepiest moment of season 2 by far. Like, it was, the reveal was genuinely creepy. This is how you do human killers. Like, few films succeed in making human killers actually creepy, in my opinion. Like, the scene, the torture well, not the kind of torture scene in The Girl in the Dragon Tattoo. I haven't seen the foreign version, I've only seen the American remake, but that scene was done really well. Like, that made the human killer pretty frightening, I would say, pretty creepy. There's been some other films, I can't quite think of any off the top of my head, which have kind of like struck me as being pretty creepy with a human killer, but this succeeds like massively in making Bloodyface scary, like without the mask. Like, the person who plays Bloodyface, fantastic. You're like, the person who plays Bloodyface deserves a lot of recognition, I think. They do a really good job. Of course, I can't say the actor's name for spoilers, but I think I'll leave it at that. So, even the Bloodyface reveal was predictable. However, the scene was still really, really fun. Like, it's not as if they really intended it to be a huge shock or twist, because, for starters, they are revealing this in episode 5. If they wanted this to be a huge twist, I suppose they would have saved it for a later episode, later on in the season. But this time round, I suppose they didn't intend it to be a huge twist, but that's okay, because the reveal is done so well. Like, the reveal is really, it's done just really well. I'm just leaving it at that. It's really suspenseful, a great sense of dread. The scene is wonderfully acted and shot. Like, the directing is fantastic in this scene. The actors do a great job. I'm just going to leave it at that. The Bloodyface reveal, although predictable, is amazing. Even if you, like, it's because, you know, knowing who Bloodyface is and figuring it out makes the scene even more suspenseful than what it was before. And if you didn't figure out who Bloodyface is yet, when you do watch the scene, it'll just come to you as a shock, which will just be as powerful as the suspense that the other people will be feeling. So it works both ways, whether or not you figure it out or not. And another thing, I do appreciate them for dropping actual clues to who is Bloodyface. Like, there are several big clues to who Bloodyface is throughout the first, you know, the episodes. Episode 2 has a really good hint, like a really big hint, which a lot of people caught on to, and I think it's really good. A really awesome hint, or, you know, clue to who Bloodyface is. So the thing is, with Rubberman, there wasn't any hints to who Rubberman is. So when they kind of hit you with who Rubberman is in episode 8, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so it's this person. But it's not as if you could have figured out who it was yourself, because they didn't drop any hints to who Rubberman was. The only reason most people managed to figure out who Rubberman was in series 1 was based off like a character. I don't want to say anything because it's a spoiler in case someone hasn't watched series 1 and is watching this video, but everyone managed to figure out most people managed to figure out who Rubberman was for series 1, but it wasn't because they were dropping actual clues, because they did not drop actual clues to who Rubberman was in the first series. So for the second series, I do admire how they did drop actual clues for who Bloodyface was throughout the episodes, so you got to give the writers credit. for giving us actual clues. So I do respect them for that. So like I said, the bloody face reveal is still a lot of fun, even if you figured out who it was, and the reveal is actually genuinely creepy. It's really suspenseful, and it is like genuinely creepy. It's so well shot and everything. A lot of stuff happens in the episode. The pacing is as slow as episode 4, which is good. Well, most people prefer it that way. A lot of stuff happens in this episode, so much so it felt like a series finale. Like, wow, I can't wait to see what that actual series finale is going to do, if this is what they did for an episode 5. Like, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. So, it was a damn good episode. It's on par with episodes 4 and 3, which in my opinion are the best episodes of season 2 so far. Yeah, overall it was a awesome episode, and I'm gonna go into spoilers here, and I will flat out reveal who Bloodyface is. So if you don't want that spoiled for you, leave now. Okay, so Bloodyface is Dr. Fredson. So of course everyone figured this out, but that's okay because the scene was done so well. Like, as soon as he got Lena into was it his house or no, it was a house, yeah. As soon as he got her into his house, you knew she was screwed. Like, this is how everyone predicted the episode would end, with like getting her into his house. So but it still raised the question whether or not he was going to kill her straight away or not. And of course she survives to the end of the episode, although she is chained up in his basement. So I guess they are carrying on. They are going to keep her alive for the next few episodes, because he wanted her to write a book about him or something like that, he mentioned. And of course the next few episodes are going to be Bloodyface's origin story. So we are going to be finding out how Dr. Fredson became Bloodyface. Like, I'm assuming he has mommy issues. And the awesome hint, which I really liked, is in episode 2, by the way. You know when the devil says in Fredson's mother's voice to him, the devil says to Fredson in his mother's voice, "I see what you've become and I'm glad I gave you up." So he's obviously the devil, or his mother, was referring to the fact that he's become a serial killer. That's why his mother is glad that she gave him up. So he obviously has mommy issues, and I guess this is going to be elaborated on in the in the future episodes. There you go, lose my train of thought there. And also, that was a really dark end. Like, that was really dark. Like I said, it's really suspenseful and genuinely creepy. Like, Zachary Quinto nails it. He is flawless in this performance as Bloodyface, as Fredson. Like, the way he kind of slowly starts to become more and more like unstable, I suppose. The dude he does a great job, and the whole basement scene was fantastic. Like, again, going back to how well the episode shot, I love the shot of just the basement in general, and the sound design is great with all the like scraping metal sounds you suddenly hear every now and again as we cut to all of the like weapons and knives and hacksaws and stuff on the wall. That scene is really well shot and acted, and I really dug the shots of Fredson entering the basement, where the camera kind of like starts off looking at the floor, slowly kind of pans up, and you can see you can just barely make Dr. Fredson standing there, like behind the plastic curtain. He's kind of just standing there, and then he starts like ranting off all these really awesome lines, these really creepy lines. Like, he is awesome. The dude's voice works, his face is great. Just Zachary Quinto, he just does a great job, and Sarah Paulson does as well. Like, she's his victim, so obviously she plays an important part in the acting here. She does a great job as well. Yeah, wow. I just thought the whole Bloodyface reveal was done really well. One thing I was kind of disappointed by is, like, I suppose it's a reference to stuff like Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, etc., and Ed Gein. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right, but how the house has furniture which is made from human body parts. For example, you had the sweets tray made out of a skull, and then of course you had the lampshade which was made out of human skin, well, that was really it. They were like the only two things which were made out of human flesh or human body parts. That was the thing I was kind of disappointed by. I expected to see more stuff like made out of human skin. Like, it's cool you've got these two things, but that's really it. Like, I really wish they had like other things in the background, like really subtle things in the background made out of human skin as well, or human body parts, to make the scene a lot more natural, I suppose. But the thing is, I promise, I swear to God, I did freeze frame the scene, and I'm 100% sure that the ashtray made out of the skull and the lampshade made out of skin are the only pieces of furniture in the room which are made from body parts. And the thing is, the camera does like a really big close-up on both of these things, as if, you know, I felt as if it was kind of all like, you know, in your face. Check this out, the lampshade's made out of skin. Check this out, the ashtray's made out of a skull. I felt as if it was a bit in your face with how they did close-ups of these things. And it kind of felt a bit obnoxious. I felt as if it would have helped the scene feel more natural and a lot less obnoxious if they had more items or furniture made out of human body parts in the background, you know, that they didn't do close-ups on. So I kind of, you know, I felt as if they had been a bit obnoxious there, but whatever, it didn't piss me off or anything. Like, the scene was still amazing. I still love the scene. Like, it's hands down the creepiest scene, or at least one of the creepiest scenes in the whole entire show. Like, first series and second series combined, it's one of the creepiest scenes in the whole entire show. It's just done so well. Like, I can't get over how awesome Zachary Quinto is. Now, let's briefly talk about how the Anne Frank storyline. So what I'm confused about is, so apparently she isn't Anne Frank, and the dude, she has a husband and everything, so I guess she isn't Anne Frank. But my question is, how did she figure out Dr. Arden was a Nazi? Or did she just decide to accuse the first person in a lab coat she saw? Like, when she got herself committed to the asylum, did she just decide to accuse the first doctor she saw to be a Nazi? And she just, it was, you know, if so, that was one hell of a coincidence that Dr. Arden was a Nazi, because he is a Nazi, as evidenced by the picture you see of him with Hitler at the end of the show, or well, at the end of the episode. So you know, I don't know, I'm just confused by that storyline, the Anne Frank storyline. Yeah, so one more thing, I do feel as if the episode would have benefited by swapping around two scenes. So for those of you who haven't seen the episode ends like this. You get the bloody face reveal, so Lena is like chained up in the basement. Zachary Quinto, you know, he puts on the mask. You know, Lena starts screaming. And that's it. That's like the end of that scene. But then we cut to like Jessica Lange, like she's sleeping with some guy, I think. And then we cut to Anne Frank with her husband, showing that she lives happily ever after because the lobotomy which Dr. Arden performed on her apparently worked. It seems to have worked. And then the episode ends. So we move from this really, really creepy scene with Bloodyface and Lena in the basement. Then we move to Jessica Lange sleeping with some guy. And then for the final scene, we cut to Anne Frank living happily ever after, apparently, with her husband. I feel as if the episode would have benefited if we ended with the Bloodyface reveal. So, so I just told you the three scenes: Bloodyface reveal, Jessica Lange, and then Anne Frank. This is how they should have repositioned the scenes, in my opinion. They should have had Jessica Lange, Anne Frank, and then Bloodyface. Because of course the Anne Frank scene had the Dr. Arden really was a Nazi revelation at the end of it, which is, you know, that's cool and all, but I didn't feel as if that was a powerful or big enough revelation to end the whole entire episode on. I felt as if the Bloodyface moment was far superior and far more interesting than Dr. Arden being a Nazi. So I feel as if by ending on the revelation that Dr. Arden is a Nazi, it kind of takes the, it's like they're trying to take the attention away from Zachary Quinto being Bloodyface, and to suddenly cut to Jessica Lange and Anne Frank, it kind of takes away the intensity of the Bloodyface scene, because that scene is really tense. Like, if you've seen the episode, you probably, I hope you agree. But the Bloodyface reveal, the scene with Zachary Quinto in the basement with Lena chained up, and, you know, him putting on the mask, it's a really suspenseful scene, and it's a genuinely creepy scene, but like, I feel as if it would have been better if, you know, this was the final scene, because it would be like him putting on the mask, mentioning how he removed Wendy's teeth, Lena's starting to scream, and the last shot would be of him with the mask. And then I think it would have been a great way to end the episode. So it's like him wearing the mask, cut to black, the ending credits come up, as opposed to suddenly we cut to Jessica Lange, and then we cut to Anne Frank, and we have a close-up of this picture which reveals Dr. Arden is a Nazi with Hitler, and then bang, cut to black, end credits. I feel as if the bloody face shot would have been a lot more, like a lot better way to end the episode. It would have been a lot more impactful. You know, like I said, the scene's really creepy and intense, so it kind of takes away the intensity and the creepiness of the scene by ending it on a shot of Dr. Arden. Like, sure, that's all interesting and all, that Dr. Arden really was a Nazi, but Bloodyface was, in my opinion, the biggest star of the episode. He was more, he like him and Lena were the bigger, more important story of the episode. So I felt as if they should have ended it with the bloody face scene, but that's a minor complaint because the bloody face scene was still amazing, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Like that was great. It was pretty twisted, a pretty dark way to end the episode. So I'm leaving it at that. So that's what I thought about episode 5. Awesome episode, and I'm leaving it at that. So thanks for watching, and see ya.